under JDS Scholarship Program. His presentation is about factors influencing Cambodian students and self-efficacy. Mr. Chairatha, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ms. First, I would like to thank the organizing team for making this event happen. And next, I would like to express my great respect and gratitude to Shima senseis, Maki senseis, and Hatta senseis. And good morning to everyone. And today it's my great honor to share my research finding on the topic factors influencing Cambodian student science self-efficacy. And here's the outline which covers the whole presentations for today. May I start from the background of the study? So the National Strategic Development Plan of the Royal Government of Cambodia prioritized the 6 key areas for the country development. And one of the areas is to develop human resources. And under this area, one of the emphasis is to strengthen the quality of education, science, and technologies. And the government also established industrial development policies in 2015, which aim to transform the country to the higher value-added competitive economy by 2025 and to the upper middle income country by 2030. And to align with the national policies, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport established STEM policies in aiming to promote human resources in STEM-related majors. However, if we take a look at the share enrollment of science and social science tracks at high school, the trends have gone the opposite direction of the government policies, which aim to promote STEM education, as it is clearly shown here. The science tracks gradually decrease from year to year, which caused the concern for the government. And at the same time, for the high school graduate, tend to favor non-STEM related majors to STEM related majors when they enter the university, which is also another concern. And in this study, why the main focus is on the self-efficacy. So according to the study, self-efficacy plays as a predictor of career choices, and it acts as a critical role in academic and career choices. And it shows a strong association between science self-efficacy and science major choices. And it plays as a powerful motivator, and it also affects the science learning and the choice of the science. And self-efficacy is an original work by Albert Bandura in 1977, which is defined as expectations as belief about one's own ability to successfully perform a given behavior. And this theory comprises of 2 main components. Outcome expectation is about a person's expectation of a result from his or her own performance, and self-efficacy belief is about a person's capability to perform a given behavior. And according to Albert Bandura, there are 4 primary sources which affect the science, which affect the self-efficacy. First, mastery experience, which is about a person's past success or achievement. And second, vigorous experience is about learning and observing from the surrounding people. And third, verbal persuasion is about encouragement, motivation, or discouragement from surrounding people. And the last source is physiological state, which describes a person's anxiety or emotional reactions to a given behavior or situations. And according to the study, they clearly reveal that there's a strong connection between science self-efficacy and STEM-related major choice. Yet the factors which affect the science self-efficacy remain unanswered. Therefore, the main focus of the current study is to identify the influencing factors which affects the Cambodian student science self-efficacy. And the study was guided by three research questions. First, the current study and to want to find out is there any significant difference between the science self-efficacy and student demographic information. And second, to find out what are the influencing factors on the science self-efficacy. And third, to find out what are the influencing factors on the four primary sources. And according to the literature, most of the study found that the four primary sources are the key significant predictor on the science self-efficacy and other factors like gender, academic achievement, family, socio-economic status, and so on, which considered as the demographic factors, are also found the significant predictors on science self-efficacy. And also, according to the literatures, the study also found that gender, socio-economic status, and academic achievement were also found the significant predictors on the science self-efficacy. So based on the literatures, the study came up with this conceptual framework. The first is the four primary sources and the five variables from the demographic informations were investigated as the predicting variable on the student science self-efficacies. And in this study, the survey was employed, which consists of the four sections, from section A, demographic information, to section D, the measurement of science self-efficacies. And for the participants, in total, 819 respondents from both public and private higher educational institutions participate in this study. And the study employed multi-phase random samplings. First, the study purposefully selected for public and two private higher educational institutions. And for the next step, the four classes from each institution were randomly selected. And the study employed both descriptive and inferential statistics. And here's the result of the key demographic information of the respondent with a total of 819. And here's the result of the factor loaded of the four primary sources. And it is noted that for the first factor, mastery experience, one item was removed due to the low loading value C03. And also for the second factor, vigorous experience, one item was removed C11. And for the third and the fourth, all the six factors remain for the study with an overall combat alpha value 0.929. And for the item to measure the science self-efficacy, all the six items remain with the overall combat alpha value 0.926. And here's the result of the first question from the independent sample t-test and one-way ANOVA. So from this result, it is observed that gender, high school track, measuring at higher educational institutions, type of higher educational institution student enroll, and the student status in enrolling at more than one institutions, student age, student family, SES, father's educations, mother's educations, father's occupations, and mother's occupations, made significant difference in student science self-efficacies. And here's the result from the simultaneous multiple linear regressions on the factors predicting student science self-efficacies. So based on the result, it reveals that gender, age, family, SES, mastery experience, social persuasion, and physiological state significantly predicted the student science self-efficacy with 54% of variance. And the current study also showed the consistent and inconsistent with the previous study. And this is the result for the sub-questions regarding the factors predicting the four primary sources. And based on the result from the simultaneous multiple linear regression in model 1, and achievement significantly predicted the mastery experience with 49% of variance in model 2. Family ICS and science achievement could also predict the weakest experience. And in model 3, science achievement is a significant predictor on the social persuasions. And in model 4, physiological state was significantly predicted by age and science achievement. And to identify the total effects of the predicting factors on the science self-efficacy, the study further conducted structural equation modeling by using MOS. And in this diagram, there are 4 exogenous variables from the demographic information and the 4 endogenous variables of the 4 primary sources to predict the total effects on the science self-efficacies. So based on the result, if we look at the total effects, it is observed that science and achievement show the strongest effects and is followed by social persuasions, physiological state, mastery experience, physiological state, a social persuasion, physiological state, and then age, genders, and last family SES. And based on the finding of the study, the following conclusion was made. First, students who perceive higher science self-efficacy tend to be male, younger age, and who enroll in public higher institutions and who enroll at more than one institutions, and also those who come from higher family ICS and whose parents work in NGOs, and another thing is whose parents obtain high level of education, and in particular for those who chose high school science tracks and STEM related majors at higher educational institutions. Second, gender, family, SES, age, mastery experience, social persuasion, and physiological state were the significant predictor on Cambodian student science self-efficacies. And the last conclusion is only science achievement influences the 4 primary sources, while family SES could predict only vigorous experience and physiological state could be predicted by age. And based on the findings, to improve the student science self-efficacy, the following implications were made. First, as we can see, science achievement show the strongest effects. So improving science lesson and instruction should be paid great attention, especially by science teachers, in order to boost student achievements. And the second, enhancing student mastery experience in the early grades should be made through project-based approach classroom, because the study found that this project-based approach showed effectiveness to enhance student achievement in science in the early grades. And third, teachers and parents and peers should give more encouragement in helping students to nurture their science self-efficacies. And third, it is not ignored by the other stakeholder in order to help students to control fears and anxiety, because student achievement and confidence is affected by these factors. And next, through modeling, schools should organize any events in order to give opportunity for the student to see the success of the seniors or graduate or even scientists regarding their learning science and science related careers. And last, The Ministry of Education using sport should conduct a rigorous study on the gender gap and the students from low family SES, with specific regard to how and why those groups pursue low science self-efficacy as found in the study before introducing any science-related policy or policies guidelines. So this is the reference, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jayotha, for your interesting presentation. We have 10 minutes for Q&A, and I would like to open the floor for questions from the audience. We received one question from Aki Sensei. His question is that, how do you achieve or implement what you wrote in the invitation?
Sorry, again, please. I didn't catch that point.
The question is, how do you achieve or how do you implement what you wrote in your invitation?
My implications? Yes, thank you very much, Maki Sensei, for these questions. It might take a long way to achieve what I have provided implication is, but what we can do, that we can say we can possibly do is first with at school level, that what I have mentioned is about the encouragement. So it is really important for the school and other relevant stakeholders to provide encouragement so to the students to improve the science self-efficacy. And another what we can do is with the with the science teachers, that what they can do to improve in their classroom rather than to think of other options or to think of to wait for the policies to guide them. Yeah, I think, did I answer your questions?
ラッツさん、こんにちは。
Yeah, konnichiwa.
Thank you very much for your response. Could you show me the previous slide?
Previous slide.
Yes, so what can you do? What will you do?
I mean, all these 4 points?
Yes.
For the first point regarding to the science lesson in instruction, yeah, I think it is important to give the training for the especially for the science teachers, regarding to on how they can improve improve their lesson and instruction. This is the training, yes, something. And for the second point, I think it's also similar to the first point, based on this implication regarding to the improving the achievement in the early grades. So by adapting the effective approach. So this is also another training that we can provide to the teacher to explore or to learn what are the effective that they have used in order to practice to apply in the classroom. And what for the third point, I think school principal play a very critical role by making any meeting or announcement to the relevant stakeholder. Like here we have teachers, parents, and peers, by focusing on the importance of the encouragement, which can help the student to overcome the anxiety in learning science. To nurture the level of the student science self-efficacy. And the third, it's also the main role of the school principal and another big role for the teachers. So what they can do to deal with the student psychologies, because here it's about fears and anxiety. So what kinds of methods or what kinds of I say counseling, yeah, I'm referring to the counseling that the teacher, especially teachers, that they can provide in order to help students. Or they also can create any space or any services that can provide to the student to deal with the student anxiety or student problem of the psychological problem. Yeah, this is what I can answer. Yeah, Maki Sensei.
One question from Hakka Sensei. What kinds of further research are you planning to conduct after the findings?
What kinds of further research? Thank you very much, Hakka Sensei, for the questions. As I have written down in my limitations and suggestions for further research, as my research finding here is not enough to show what we can do with the relevant stakeholder. So the further research could focus on other factors rather than only the demographic information, like because it is very hard to change, it's constant, yeah, like age, family, SES, and also beside the 4 primary sources, yeah, the further study can focus on the other key variable, like the teacher side, like teaching, yeah, the teachers, the teachings, and the trust on the student, on the teacher qualifications. So I think this also can help to inform for the further research. And another study, I think, to make sure that whether the students who are in the STEM-related major field, whether they will still retain in this field or not, maybe the study can conduct another study to track them to trace them whether they are still in the field and try to identify the factor behind this. Yeah. This is my answer for Hakka Sensei's questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei, for your question. Now, can I pick up one more question from Mr. Ronetra, I think? Could you please provide your justification on how science teachers could do to push up the students' achievement?
Sorry, I didn't hear you well. Again, please.
Could you please provide your justification on how science teachers could do to push up the students' achievement?
Thank you very much for the questions. I think, what I can answer for the participant is, I think it's similar to what I have answers to Maki Sensei, regarding to how can we do, regarding this. I think the most important thing is about the teacher should reflect what they have taught. Is it effective enough? And look at by comparing to the student achievement. So if not satisfied enough, so what's wrong with the science lesson, the instructions, and with the techniques and in the teaching approach? So and how can they develop or improve those instructions? So based on the implication here or recommendation here, it's about like they can adopt project-based approach in order to improve the student, because here master experience is one of the strongest predictor on the students' science self-efficacy. So what they can do is to improve the student performance in the early grades. Okay, I hope I answer the questions.
Very much.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairata. Actually, there are two more questions for you, but allow me to keep them because we will get back to the questions later on in the discussion session.
Okay, thank you very much for all the questions.